folk. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again. And so are these fans. It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions.
Boston organization has been well run for a long time now. From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. 5-1 the final tonight. And the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
The Red Sox have won the World Championship. The Boston Red Sox beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1. They win the World Series 4-1. And the Red Sox become the first team in the 21st century with 4 World Championships. Can you believe it?
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Pesky Podcast. I am the host of Ritt, and with me, I got the crew. I got my man DC. I got Anthony on the Cape. What's going on, guys? And, well, we have an Orioles aficionado. He's going to give us some inside information and the outlook for the Baltimore Orioles, Mr. Josh Linn. So let's start with you, Josh. How's it going?
Doing well. How about y'all?
Doing pretty good. So would you like to sit there and tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I've done a little bit of blogging in my past. Currently taking a break. I was formerly with Birds Watcher, which was the Orioles fan-sided affiliate, in addition to Utah Street Report, which is another Orioles fan site. Kind of just lurking on Twitter right now, but still as invested in the Orioles as I ever have been.
Man, and now's a really good time to be invested in them. Everything looks like it's finally paid off. You know, all their young talent is actually making their way to the majors. So, DC, what's been going on since last episode?
Not much, man. I'm actually dealing with a little bit of a six right now, so if my voice sounds like crap, I apologize. Just spending time with my wife and the baby on my days off, and just enjoying the WBC about to start, or that did start today, but I'm excited for USA tonight.
Yeah. Hey, we all know what you're lacking in voice right now. That's why we have our man Anthony on the Cape, the man with the voice, the man who made the right choice. Anthony, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, guys? I'm excited. I was mostly watching the Bruins today. I'm not going to lie, but I was flipping over watching Chris Sale as much as possible. Unfortunately, both games started at the same time, but no, I was just ecstatic to see. I thought Chris Sale looked phenomenal. So far, he's got 5 innings, 5 shutout innings. Obviously no runs, 0.60 whip, I think, and he's got like 7 Ks, something like that. He looks really good. I'm excited.
He's looking fantastic, and well, let's start the conversation right there, Anthony. Chris Sale and the Boston Red Sox rotation health. So he pitched today. He pitched 3 scoreless innings, 5 Ks. He had 1 hit, no walks. The last pitch that struck out before he got taken out, he hit 95 miles per hour. He was talking to the people afterwards. Man, he's excited. He's been working on that changeup, the 3rd pitch, since February. And he was going on saying how if he can throw strikes with his 3rd pitch, because a lot of pitchers have 3 pitches, but if the 3rd pitch, they can't have control and they can't hit the strike zone, the batter's not even worried about it. So Chris Sale he's concentrated on this changeup. So if he could throw the strikes, then he has the 3rd pitch to go along with his devastating slider he has. So what are you thinking there, Anthony?
Yeah, no, it's what makes the difference between levels of pitchers. So, Chris Sale, the reason why he's an ace and one of the best pitchers really of all time. I know last year he had like maybe the highest strikeout per 9. He has some great numbers over the course of his career. It's because he has 3 pitches and 3 quality pitches. And if he's coming into the year with 3 effective pitches, that's going to be a great thing. But just the overall health, I mean, we got some information that Whitlock's going to throw, I think, Wednesday. I'm not positive on that. Was it Wednesday? Okay. Yep. So we got some good news with Whitlock.
Yep.
It's just a recovery situation anyway, right? So it's not like there was any new injury. He's still recovering from the hip from last year. Bayo, I think, is right behind him. So, forget about Paxton. That's just a bonus anyway. But like when we're looking at what Chris Sale's doing, Kluber looks pretty good. I thought Pivetta looked pretty decent. We got Houck. We got Whitlock coming. We got Bayo coming. And a lot of the other young guys like Mata and Walter, I would say the overall health of the rotation actually looks pretty good.
Definitely. Bayo, he's throwing off the mound. So like you said, he's right behind Whitlock ready to get right in there. And I kind of like how we don't need to worry about having, hurry in Whitlock because of how well these younger guys, Winkowski, Mata, Walter, how they're looking in spring training. There's no hurry to sit there and push Whitlock, let him come back a little bit at a time at his pace, because man, these young guys can easily fill in. Paxton, I don't expect Paxton to be back till at least maybe May. So, DC, what are your thoughts on Sale and the rotation health?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep saying this, but he makes great points. I agree with Anthony. The overall health is just exciting to see. The smile on his face and the velocity and the command is there. If he's going to have those 3 pitches going in the beginning of the season, that's huge for us. I think this is personally the best I've seen him since he's gotten to Tommy John. I mean, he was near perfect today. His command's there. And as far as a rotation depth, Whitlock, he's going to miss maybe 1 or 2 starts, in my opinion. Bayo, maybe end of April, beginning of May. He threw live BP. His game's next he's going to be pitching a game hopefully next week. I mean, even Paxton, like they said, that's just a bonus. He'll probably be late May, like you were saying. But overall, we have the young guys as well. I think Winkowski and Crawford, if they go that route, could hold the fort down for 2 starts if they decide to go that route. But man, I'm excited. It's been a while since I've been pretty stoked about young arms in our system, and to have the ability to come up and spot start. And I just think we're in a really good place as far as depth and as far as that goes. Not to be redundant with this far there. Sorry about that.
No, that's the key, right? It's we have a health. So, as of right now, we have a healthy Chris Sale, and we have a lot of talented young pitchers, which is something we can't really say we've had for a while. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, to keep this on starting pitching, let's head over here and ask Josh. So Baltimore Orioles, we play you guys opening day. Anthony is chomping at the bit. He's got to know who's going to be the opening day pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles.
So if I had to put money on it, I would say Kyle Gibson. He's I think the highest price free agent they signed this year, 1 year, $10 million. So I think he'll get the start. I would imagine Cole Irvin, who we traded from Oakland, will be behind him. And number 3 will be a little bit intriguing. I'm not sure. There's a bunch of guys vying for the rest of the rotation spots. You got Bradish, Kramer, Grayson Rodriguez, Spencer Watkins, Austin Voth. So it's
don't forget about Wells, right?
Yeah, Tyler Wells, who pitched
really good
well
last year against us.
Yeah, and he pitched well against the Phillies the other day. He had, I think, 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. So yeah, there's a lot of guys vying for those 5 spots.
That kid's a stud. He's big.
Yeah, and a Rule 5 pick too. So that was a huge get from that.
Yeah.
So you think it's Gibson? Okay. You never mentioned Grayson Rodriguez. You don't think he's going to start the year in the big club?
I think he will. I think if you had to put money on a number 5 guy, I think he would be it. I would say the rotational look, if I had to guess, will be Gibson, Irvin, Bradish, Kramer, and Grayrod. I think that's how it'll shake out. And then like DL Hall was a candidate, but he's been hurt. He hasn't thrown in a game yet, so he won't be considered. He'll probably start in AAA.
You think they're going to I was kind of reading on our fantasy app about DL Hall. You think they're going to stretch him out so he can make the open day roster and just kind of do like long relief to get him stretched out to a starter?
Yeah, I think he'll start in the bullpen, and he had some experience. He got a save last year at the end of the year, so and his stuff lends to that, like power fastball, crazy slider. I could definitely see a world in which his role is like a Andrew Miller, Josh Hader type, like a multi-inning power lefty, because he struggled with command as a starter. So I think that's going to be the make or break thing for him. But I think they're going to exhaust all options before they commit to keeping him in the bullpen for sure. Like the Orioles really, for as good as our farm system is, there's really not a lot of pitching depth, so he'll get every chance, I think.
It's interesting though. So you don't even think Tyler Wells is going to be in the opening rotation?
I don't think so. I think he profiles better as a reliever. His stuff I think plays up a bit, and it's just with like Bradish pitched so well at the end of last season, and he was had some pedigree behind him. Kramer the same, and Grayson Rodriguez. I think he was going to make his debut last year before he had a lat strain. It was widely speculated that was going to be his last AAA start. So yeah, it's just more of a no spot for him instead of it being an indictment on him. But yeah, I think he'll end up in the bullpen.
And then what's the word with John Means? When's he expected to be back in the mix?
I would say sometime around June or July. I think he got Tommy John last year in late April, so that would be about 15 months out. So that would be, I think, a conservative estimate for him. And he's been doing some light throwing, obviously no like heavy mound work or anything like that. So I would say sometime mid-season, a little before the All-Star break.
Now, all those pitchers you mentioned, are those all right-handed pitchers? Do you have any lefties?
So Cole Irvin is a lefty,
okay.
and Hall. But yeah, as far as starters, they're mostly right-handed. The only lefty I could think of would be Cade Povich, who a prospect we traded for last year for Jorge Lopez. And he's been pitching in some spring training games, but I don't know if he'll make his debut this year. But yeah, they'll probably only have one left-handed starter.
And that's Irvin.
Yep.
Cool.
Ooh, Anthony.
So it means that I think about it because I'm thinking about the opening day lineup for the Red Sox. You know what I mean? That's instant. That's just what I'm looking. I want to know who's starting for Baltimore so I can figure out who's going to be in our lineup. So that means if most likely it's not going to be Irvin probably as the opening day starter. I would imagine it's probably going to be. I was looking at Gibson myself, thinking he's like the veteran here, and they saw so I'm thinking he might get the start. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm not even following Baltimore, but I'd be shocked if Tyler Wells isn't part of that opening day rotation. I'd be shocked. Just the way he pitched last year. You said he pitched 4 innings the other day and 8 Ks. I mean, the guy's got great stuff. He's a big kid.
Yeah, I think he's 6'8", 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, it's huge.
Mid-90s fastball. It's a little straight, but it's he makes it work.
He dominated us. He dominated us last year.
He did.
He completely dominated us last year.
He did, and he was pitching well. He had, I think it was a shoulder, just like a muscle injury last year that shut him down in September. I think he might have been over 100 innings last year, but if he was, it wasn't that much further. So I think limiting his innings would be part of that calculus for the Orioles too.
Man, I'm loving hearing this, Kyle Gibson. So Anthony, that just leans to help me out a little bit with Verdugo there leading off for the Red Sox on opening day.
Yeah, you're still in. You got a chance.
I'm still in now. So
you better hope it's not Cole Irvin getting the start.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, no.
Josh, you know how I feel about Verdugo?
I believe you are not a huge fan.
I was just wondering if you knew.
Is that correct? Am I misrepresenting?
I'm not a fan.
Okay. Me neither. I'm not.
So
is it residual from like how you got him, being that he was in the movie trade?
I think admittedly so. I think that plays into it. I just think
Yeah.
he just kind of falls off, in the middle of the season. I just don't know, man. There's just something about him, and his face just gets me. His face gets me.
Yeah, it has nothing
All
to
right.
do with the Mookie trade has nothing to do with the reason was why I don't like Verdugo. It's more the fact is the guy came in last year. Well, yeah, and he wasn't even in good shape. And I know a lot of people want to make excuses about his foot injury or his toe injury. But to me, he wasn't in that. Those two things go hand in hand. So if you're not in good shape, you're going to be more susceptible to injuries. So I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg there with the injury. I remember when he almost took out Bogarts and knocked him out for the year last year, flying in from behind after Bogarts was just making a routine play. The guy
Early too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he tries to be David Ortiz instead of being Mike Greenwell. You know what I mean? Like his skill set is he should be going the other way, using the monster to his advantage. And he could be really good. So we'll see this year. But, just the whole, I don't like his walk-up music. I don't like his gold chains. I don't like his so-called swag. I'm just not into any of that. I want a good baseball player. That's it. And to me, he's completely overrated. He goes to the Red Sox this offseason looking for an extension. Are you kidding me? What has he ever earned? What kind of extension has he earned? Seriously, dude, he's got 2 more years of arbitration. This is one, and then he's got 1 more year after this, and he's looking for an extension. The guy's lucky if he hits 10, 12 home runs. So I think he's just completely delusional. I think he should be gone by the end of the year. And let somebody else deal with Alex Verdugo and his future contract situation.
Man, I'm complete opposite. I just love how Verdugo came in this year, and he sat there and took accountability, and he got in shape. He's ready. I kind of hope he runs the base path, because that's where I think his biggest downfall is, where he hits it off the monster and he thinks automatically. Now don't get me wrong, he had 39 doubles last year, but he automatically thinks just because it goes off the monster that he can get that double. And sometimes it's smarter to rely on the manager there to see if he should keep going. And he gets thrown out an awful lot because he thinks that he can just make it there. So that's my biggest thing with Verdugo. Other than that, I think he's what we need at the top of the lineup to get going.
I don't know if you guys saw today. You actually liked this, Anthony, because I was listening to your old Sox base you sent us. He pulled a Vasquez today. He forgot the outs in the WBC.
He's a terrible base runner. Yeah. He's always making dumb mistakes. That's a big problem I have. For a guy with that much swagger, you would think you would be a good player. You think you should have to earn that, right? You don't just come in and play like crap and have all this swagger. It doesn't work like that. You got to be a good player first. And his defense and his base running are awful. So we need a completely different Alex Verdugo this year. If he thinks he's getting any kind of extension, he better really have a great season. And you know what? That happened to us multiple times, DC. The last couple of years, guys forgetting how many outs there are. I'm getting to the point where I want to start blaming the coaching staff for that, because the coaches need to either make sure the players know how many outs there are, or at least hold them accountable when they don't know themselves. But that's unacceptable. That's the kind of sloppy baseball we suffered through last year, and I'm just not going to do it this year. I'm sorry.
That's the kind of fundamentals you need to clear up in, as a kid, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, not to be over.
To the basics. Those are the basics.
There, but,
the basics. And you got to rely on leadership. There's always someone in the outfield that's always supposed to be on point. Usually, like those Bogarts. Bogarts was the one keeping track in the infield of how many outs there are. So I'm kind of curious, is Kike going to be stepping up in the infield to, make sure everybody's on the same page? So, and then in the outfield, Verdugo right now is the veteran in the outfield, because the ball's out there and Yoshida's out there. So they've got to figure out how to communicate out there, because you can't have somebody, call off and then all of a sudden someone else try to steal in. So it's going to be interesting.
It's a really big year for Alex Verdugo. It's a big year for Verdugo.
Probably the biggest of his career, for sure.
Yeah.
So next up, we're going to sit there and talk about somebody that's been on fire in the WBC. we're going to talk about Yu Chang and the Red Sox middle infield depth. So, Anthony, do you want to sit there and start us off on this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was skeptical. We had him for a little cup of coffee at the end of last year. I know they pulled him from Tampa. He's been on a couple different teams, Cleveland, I think. And I didn't really know much about him. We didn't see too much of him, but they seemed to kind of like him. And then when they released him this offseason or DFA'd him when they were trying to make space on the 40, and it was kind of like, okay, he's gone, and then they brought him back. And it was like, everybody seems to think he's just got a spot shored up on the roster, right? On the opening day roster as our backup infielder. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like, but now seeing what he's doing, I mean, obviously the guy's got plenty of talent. So I'm actually feeling a lot better about our middle infield situation when I see guys like Hamilton playing well, when I see Yu Chang, what he's doing in the WBC. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. He's got some pop. He's got some serious power, that kid.
Yeah, I'm all for him. And you and I sit there and talked before how important it is to get at bats. For Yu Chang, I think he can be the guy that comes off the bench and can give you that pop, and he don't need to be consistently in there at all times. Just so far in the WBC, he has a 1.659 OPS. He hit 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. He scored 5, and he has 6 hits. Like, that's really good when you're going against the best of the best in certain teams. So I love him. I think that he will make the opening day. He's proven himself this spring training that he deserves to be there. A lot of people were questioning them re-signing Chang over a Odor or Iglesias. I heard Iglesias that people wanted him back. But we got Chang for what, 700 million? 700,000 this offseason.
I'm like, damn.
Compared
I
to,
think it was like 638, or I could be wrong. I know it was around 700K though.
Nobody wants Odor. Trust me. After last year, be thankful.
Yeah,
he signed somewhere, didn't he? I thought I saw him sign somewhere.
He did. I can't remember where.
He's got some pop for sure. He's definitely got some pop, but
Bautista.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
He's good in the clubhouse, but he can't field or hit well.
Yeah.
Padres.
No,
Padres last week.
Yeah, I thought I saw him go to the Padres. No, but Yu Chang, because when you think about it, when we have Duvall in center and Kike at short, who are the backups to those positions? So the backup to center field would be Kike Hernandez, and that means we need a good backup shortstop, and that's going to be either Chang or Arroyo to start the year. And so it's really important. I think he's going to get actually a chance to play a little bit in April before Mondesi gets back, and I think that's the key. If we can hold the fort down and just stay healthy, and these guys can contribute early on and play pretty good baseball until we start getting Mondesi back, and then maybe later in the year we get Story back, and it's a different looking team at that point.
Yeah, DC. Well, what are your thoughts on Yu Chang? And then you want to start tackling our middle infield depth a little bit?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know too much about him. When we first got him last year. I've seen the highlights of him. The past few games in the WBC. It's crazy. He had 14 home runs in his career, and he hits 2 in a row. In 2 straight games. I'm hoping that honestly it just translates in the early success that we could have. I think he could ride this hot bat to hold us over until Mondesi gets there. Trevor Story's taken ground balls. I saw AC was saying that was a little interesting that AC said, if he said he's not expecting to get back this year, why is he taking ground balls? So I don't know if that was just like, a little bit of playing with us, or if that's a little optimism. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty set up. Like I said on the last show, Christian Arroyo, he's a dog when he's healthy, and we have the pieces to hold us over until we get there. We just need no setbacks, and we need the people that we have on the field now to stay healthy. But I think we're not as bad as we thought we were a couple months ago. You know what I mean? Especially when we got those, I think it was mid-January when we got the news about Trevor Story. But Yu Chang is showing. I just think he can, ride his momentum into the early season and provide success. And like I said, just man the fort until we get all reinforcements in.
Yeah, if you look at our depth, we got Arroyo, we got Kike, we've got Chang. then we got other options. We got Valdez, we got Hamilton. They're waiting down there. Marcelo Meyer.
I love Valdez, man. I love him. We're gonna see him. We're gonna see him this year.
Then like you said, Mondesi is fielding some ground balls now, so he can't be that far off. Trevor Story, I don't know if he's just like he looked at Justin Turner and was like, oh dude, if he could take that, and he has a good possibility of making our opening day roster. He plans on being there. I wonder if Trevor Story's like, man, if he's doing that, maybe I can't baby this injury along. Maybe I should step it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too crazy with that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with an elbow surgery, there's a timetable there, and just him doing some basic, getting on the field, taking some ground balls. I'm sure he's obviously not throwing, but even just taking like at bats where you don't even swing, you're just in the box and just getting your plate vision and your pitch recognition down, things like that you can do to get back in the baseball mode. I don't think they're going to rush Trevor Story. I don't see Trevor Story coming back any sooner than say August. That was Lou Merloni's original timetable, basically August at the earliest. And but is what the point you made, Josh, about Justin Turner is a good one, and I think that's really going to be a rallying cry. That's what leadership is. I mean, if this guy's back there by opening day, I mean, how do you not get in line? How do you not get behind this guy, right?
Exactly. So Josh, we're going to sit there and go over. The Baltimore Orioles have some great infielders. So highlight one player you think is an X factor for you guys this season.
So for the infield, I think, obviously Gunnar Henderson is the obvious. But I think Ryan Mountcastle at first base is so he had a decent year last year. It was like a 730 OPS, 22 home runs, but all of his batted ball statistics were suggested that he was incredibly unlucky. I know like his expected slugging, expected batting average were in the 90th percentile. His exit velocity was above the 90th percentile. I think his expected batting average was almost 30 points higher than what it ended up being. So I think he's going to have a huge season offensively. Now the new dimensions in left field will kind of hamper his power, as it will all the right-handed hitters. And that was part of the problem, but I think he was getting a little unlucky with his batted balls last year. So with even like a 15 to 20% improvement in his production, that would be huge. And he hit 33 home runs in 2021, so it's not out of the question he gets to that mark or even surpasses it again.
Yeah, me personally, I was a little upset that they moved the wall back because my season ticket guy was right there. So now I'm like, what, 20? I'm 20 feet further back. So I'm like, yeah, I'm a little upset when I call him to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's funny that it went from one of the best hitting parks in baseball to one of the best pitching parks in baseball with one change. And I think they went a little extreme, in my opinion. I think all those right-handed power hitters Baltimore has just suffered with that. Yeah. And I don't see it coming back. I don't see Mountcastle. He's a pull hitter. And I just don't see that production coming back from where it was before when he was getting all those cheap home runs.
Yeah. And so there were several times last year where, like, I know Trey Mancini specifically, you would see him on second base just pissed because he knew he got all of it, and in any other ballpark probably it would have been a home run, but just the height of the wall and how far back they moved it, there's really, some of them were a little demoralizing. I could see why that would be an issue, but I think they had to do something because they were never going to get like attracting pitchers, like who's going to want to pitch in that. But yeah, I think it might have been a bit of an overcorrection. And I'll be curious to see if there's any modifications made in the future. But I just think Mountcastle, he just hits the ball so hard. I think even if that doesn't translate to homers, I think his production will increase. Maybe more doubles, but yeah, it's definitely it's still weird talking about it in the context of a pitcher's park because it was a complete bandbox prior.
But you flip it around, and as a left-handed hitter, you're still fine.
Exactly.
And same thing with Yankee Stadium, and that's one little tie into the Red Sox. We're pretty loaded left-handed, so I think we're going to do pretty well in Baltimore and New York.
Yeah,
even though those teams might not have a lot of left-handed hitting.
Yeah, and going back to when you're talking about our pitching, I think we would benefit from having more left-handed starting pitching, because if you're pitching to righties in that cavern, like that's just only going to help you. And especially like Gibson's a fly ball pitcher, Irvin's a fly ball pitcher, so his home performance I think is going to be really good, but on the road might be a bit of an issue. But
yeah, so let's go to another question we have. Let's go to Keith. Keith said they wanted us to ask, who's the most exciting guy to watch in Baltimore this season, you think?
Got to be Gunnar Henderson, right? I mean, consensus number one prospect. He's going to start the season with the Orioles, almost certainly at third base. He's a really good defender at third base. Just his plate approach for his age is just shouldn't be possible. And he, like last year, he completely overhauled himself as a hitter, cut down his strikeouts, way more selective. And like he was not on the radar, I don't think, to come up at all at the beginning of last year, and he didn't really leave them with much of a choice. And his numbers, especially against like premium velocity fastballs, he had the best performance against fastballs among any Orioles hitter as a 20, 21-year-old. So continuing to see him flourish and become the player that everybody thinks he will is going to be really exciting. And Adley as well, Adley Rutschman, to be his first full season, and we have a lot of prospects that are on the precipice of coming up. So following that and seeing who emerges will be another exciting storyline for us.
Now, who's playing? So if Henderson's going to be playing third, who's the shortstop? Is it the same guy they had last year?
Yeah, Mateo,
right? Okay, he's a pretty good. Yep. He's a pretty slick defender, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I'm obviously biased, but I thought he should have won the Gold Glove last year. He's absolutely outstanding defensively. His offense is lackluster. I think he finished like in the 220s last year. Has some decent pop,
30 bases though.
Yeah, he was, I believe, tied for the AL lead, or was or second in the AL, but
he had like 32 or something.
Yeah, and Mullins, I believe, was right behind him. He had 31. So I think his best role is as a utility bench player. I think if a playoff team were to have him as a bench, he'd be one of the best bench players in the entire league. But you're going to do a lot worse than having him playing at shortstop just because of his glove.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people rank Adley Rutschman as the number one catcher in baseball already.
I mean, I think it's hard to put him above like JT Realmuto, but
they're doing it. I'm seeing it.
He was up catcher WAR. He was in the top 5, I believe. I think Realmuto was up there. I can't remember who else was up there with him, and also just to put it into context, in terms of any rookie catcher, he had the 3rd most WAR in history in a single season. The only 2 that were ahead of him were Mike Piazza and Carlton Fisk. So he's in rarefied company.
That's good company. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah. So it's there. Yeah, I just hope they extend him, but.
He's basically in his rookie year in terms of service time, because last year he came up late. So they still have him for 6 years under contract or under team control. So one of the things I was impressed with him last year seeing was right away. Like I think the first game he played was against the Red Sox, right? I believe.
I think it was Tampa.
Okay, well he played against the Red Sox really early. I got to see him, and he was already taking control of that team, like right off the bat. Like he was like taking pitchers almost under his wing and sort of really taking control of that team. And I think that's one of the reasons why people look at him and say, this guy's a stud, because he's like a franchise player. I mean, he's like literally that catcher that you build your whole team around. And he's so impressive, his leadership, not to mention his talent.
He's everything that I thought Matt Wieters was going to be. But yeah, like you could just tell the pitching staff loves throwing to him. And it's like become a popular thing amongst Orioles Twitter. Just he always gives the pitcher a hug after the end of each game.
Right.
So it just like it seems like a trivial thing, but just developing that bond with his pitchers can go a long way in performance. And I believe the team was 12 games above 500 from the time he came up till the end of the season. So yeah, like you said, it was an instant, metamorphosis once he got up. And his approach at the plate, like he has a very advanced plate discipline, switch hitter. He struggled a little bit as a righty, but hopefully that was just kind of a small sample thing. Huge power.
Plus he's hitting in Yellowstone when he's batting righty.
Exactly. So yeah, he should be a solid, somewhere in the 20 to 30 home run per year range, like 800 OPS with, very advanced defense. Got a great throwing arm, very good framer. So yeah, he does it all. Package.
He does it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Josh, Owen wanted to ask a question since we're talking about Adley. Can Adley Rutschman be the guy the Orioles build around, like the Red Sox are building around Rafael Devers?
Yeah, and that's why I hope the Orioles are proactive in re-signing him, kind of like what Arizona just did with Corbin Carroll today. And it's because his price is only going to go up, and it's going to get to a point where it's just not going to be feasible for them, kind of like what happened with Machado. Like if they had, tried to extend Machado after 2013 or 14, it could have been an entirely different story. So, and I mean, like you said, he still has 6 years of control left, but yeah, there's no reason him and Henderson can't be the centerpiece of this team for the next 5 to 10 years.
So, okay.
Oh, not longer.
I was going to say, I was like, I'd go even longer. I mean, I'd want to make him, I'd want to almost sign him to a lifetime contract. I mean, you got about 2 years right now. The window's 2 years. You got to sign him before, you got to sign him within those first 2 years of service time. Yeah. So this is start of year one. Next year's the start of year two. So you got to sign him by, say, like next spring, next summer, get an extension going with him and just lock him up to a 10 to 12 year deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just lock him up.
Yeah. I kind of look at Wander Franco's extension. I think it was like 10 for 185. I think that's probably a decent starting point for him. But it's just the ownership is not instilling a lot of confidence in me. It's just going to be dependent on what they do and how tight they hold the purse. But I mean, if you're not going to extend him, who are you going to do it to?
No, those two guys need to be locked up for at least a decade.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of catchers, we're going to go on the Red Sox side of things. And let's talk about a little Alfaro and the catcher depth. So, Anthony, you want to sit there and start us off on this?
Yeah, no, I mean, we kind of signed this guy on a whim. Seen a couple highlights down there in South America, putting on a show, hitting some bombs. And I didn't take it too serious, because I'm a big Connor Wong fan. And now that Connor Wong has that hamstring and he's going to be out for a while, usually it's at least 6 weeks, right? So he ain't even going to be back on the field really probably until until April. And, he's not going to be ready to go to start the year. So to me, Alfaro's locked in on the roster for the opening day roster. And I think it's up to him to earn that job. He can kind of Wally Pipp Connor Wong. You know what I mean? If Alfaro comes in and shows that he can handle the defensive load, he's probably only going to play, a couple times a week because Reese McGuire is going to be the main catcher. But if he can make an impact with that bat against those left-handed pitchers and handle the pitching staff, do a good job defensively, he might steal that job and basically not give Wong a chance to get it back. And that's so it's interesting. But those are our three catchers. And then, this kid Hamilton looks, he can play a little bit. So he's kind of an emergency option down there in Worcester. And I think overall our catching position is upgraded from last year quite significantly, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Caleb Hamilton, he has an arm behind the plate too. I was watching the highlight where he threw that guy out going to third. He's got a really nice bat so far also down there since they was given the opportunity.
He hustles too.
4 for 8, 1 home run, 2 RBIs. That ain't bad. And he plays like like it depends on it. Like he loves the game. And that's what we need to see. We also have Renato Hernandez down there. He's not as good as Hamilton behind the plate, but he has a lot of pop on that bat. And he could be an option also for if we need if Alfaro or McGuire go down before Connor Wong gets a chance to go back. But like you said, Alfaro, it's his time. It's all up to him. He plays well. Wong may not even see the majors. If Alfaro doesn't, it's no big loss because we can send him down to the minors, and he can just play down there until we need him again. So it's kind of a win-win for the Red Sox with that contract he signed.
Yeah, definitely.
So DC,
yeah, I mean, just to touch on that a little bit. Obviously McGuire's running away with the job. He's killing it this spring, hitting like 353, I believe, a home run and 6 RBIs. Alfaro is like 7 for 10. Obviously the backup position is his to lose at this point with Wong out on injury. I don't know. I'm just excited to have some depth at the catcher position. And I'll be honest with you, I did like Vasquez. Listen to some of Anthony's stuff. I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? He makes very good points, and he changed me on him, to be honest with you. I always said to a couple of friends, I was like, he had that great year when the balls were juiced.
Exactly.
I think I gave him a little too much credit than he really needed to have. And even like the whole escapade with him getting traded and all that bullshit, I think it was overblown. I think it was just something that the media kind of ran with because Chaim Bloom was already under fire a little bit, and I just think it was overblown. But yeah, I think we're in great shape as far as the catcher. McGuire is definitely. He did great things for us last year after we got him. I mean, his off the field stuff kind of is a little weird, but that's how many teams ago, how many years ago, it's whatever. But as long as you produce it on the field, man, that's all I care about. And I think we're pretty set up. We have McGuire, Alfaro, and Wong. Wong is healthy. We have that, that backup one, for our backup. We're in great shape, man. And it's the best I've felt about the catcher position in a long, long time.
Yeah. Especially when Chaim Bloom, when Chaim cites 2020, the mad scientist. hey, I'm running with that. The mad scientist, I call Chaim Bloom. He knew when he could sit there and sell Vasquez, and we got 2 top talented prospects in it. We got Abreu and Valdez. Come on now.
And two positions of need as well, looking at second base and outfield, right? 2 left-handed hitters. So yeah, absolutely. Good value on that.
Yeah, so he knew when to sell. And now Anthony, can you remember a time that we were this deep in catcher?
Well, it's been because you look at even in 2018 we had Sandy Leon, right? So it was Leon and Vasquez. What was behind that? So no, we really haven't had. And the thing is, we have a catching prospect, Brooks Brandon, who's a high school kid they drafted last year. Granted, he's 4 or 5 years away, but he's very talented. He was a guy that they didn't even think. They got him way later in the draft. You got him in the 10th round. This kid's like a top 150, top 200 prospect, but they got him signed. Nobody thought he was going to sign. So when I factored that in as well, no, because Reese McGuire's young. Reese McGuire's still got years of arbitration. Wong's still a young player. So we actually have a little youth there as well. So in the fact that I always comped Reese McGuire to AJ Pierzynski, just in terms of a baseball comp. And I just think he's a heck of a ball player. I think he's in getting him for Jake Diekman last year, after we went ahead and moved Vasquez, for those two prospects. And now you flip Jake Diekman for a starting catcher, a left-handed hitting, very good defensive catcher, and Reese McGuire. I mean, that's a brilliant move by Bloom.
Yeah, especially Toronto was looking to give up a catcher. And so I think we got him at a discounted rate because they have who? Kirk?
Well, no, we got him from Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
The White Sox. He started. So Reese McGuire started with Toronto. He did very well. He was a first-round pick. And then in 2020, when that whole incident happened, they moved him to Chicago. So now we're kind of his third team. So I think that he kind of gets a little bit of a reset here, and just with everything. But yeah, no, that was to the White Sox last year.
Oh, okay.
He was like a backup. He was like a second, third catcher for them last year.
Yeah, but man, overall, I can't remember. Like you can always go back through the years, and you know who the starting catcher was, and you knew who the backup was, but you didn't know who these people were in the minors because we didn't have that depth. Now we do, and I'm really excited to actually see some of these guys come up 4 or 5 years from now and be ready.
You know, the funny thing is, too, there's a lot of people out there, including Tony Maserati, who I talked to the other night, who are actually very, very down on our catcher position. So it's kind of that bizarro world thing where you're trying to figure out what the other person's thinking, and you're just like, why are you not seeing what I'm seeing here? And I'm very, very confident in our catcher position and very excited about it. So hey, if you don't see it yet, you'll see it soon. Trust me.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Josh, we're going to head it over to you again because you can't have a great catcher unless you have people to throw to him.
Yes.
So James wants to know, is the bullpen going to be a problem this year for Baltimore like years past?
I don't think so. It was actually pretty good last year.
It was phenomenal last year. It was like the best bullpen in baseball.
So, and even they traded Jorge Lopez at the deadline, and it was still they really didn't miss a beat.
And he struggled because when he got traded. I think he had like a 4.3 ERA with them.
Who's that kid they got? Dylan? Who's the kid they got there? He throws gas. Is it Dylan something? Or
they have Dylan Tate.
Dylan Tate. That kid's nasty.
Yeah, his sinker actually was Baseball Savant has a stat called run value, and it's calculated by how basically every time you throw a pitch, what it does to a team is run expectancy. And his sinker was one of the most valuable pitches of any in baseball. Also, Felix Bautista's splitter and his fastball, which is triple digits pretty much at all times. And then they brought Michael Givens back this year, who will give them some additional depth. Ciano Perez, who's their lefty setup guy. Tate. I think Hall will be back there. Brian Baker, who he found some velocity last year. Our player development has just done a really good job at identifying these guys and kind of helping them be the best version of them that they can be. Now there are a couple of guys like Joey Crable was decent for us last year. It seems a little smoke and mirrorsy. So they may have to dip into the minor leagues for some depth, but as far as the meat of the bullpen, I don't have any concerns at all.
Oh, well, let's compare the Orioles bullpen right now to the Red Sox revamped bullpen right now. Do you think that the Red Sox are better than the Baltimore bullpen? Because remember, we got Ryan Brazier in that bullpen.
Jeez, right. I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Well, I would say Bautista's probably the best reliever of both units, so that gives them the advantage. But to be honest, I'm not incredibly familiar with the Sox bullpen, but I would take Bautista.
Oh, you're good, man. You threw you on the spot on that one.
No, it's all good. I would be comfortable putting Bautista, Perez, and Tate up there with most bullpens.
Yeah, the real question I think is too: are you going to be as good as last year? So how close to last year can this year's version of the bullpen be for Baltimore overall? You know what I mean? Because that was one of their keys, man. They were great in late inning games and close games.
Yeah, they were.
Against
I
us,
think
especially.
Yeah. I think it can be close like that. Like I said, there are a couple guys who you could look at as potential regression candidates like Baker, Crable, maybe Perez, but I think with the addition of Gibbons, that helps a lot.
Is Batista the closer?
He is.
Is he supposed to be the closer? Okay, so he's supposed to.
Yeah.
So after they traded Lopez, he took over as closer basically, and he's expected to be the closer this year.
Yeah, and I would imagine he's a big part of the reason why they even made that deal in the first place.
Right.
But yeah, he's just absurd. Like just watching him pitch is so much fun.
And then they've got Tate as kind of a setup guy, and then the other guy you mentioned, and then there's that lefty you said could be a little bit of a multi-inning option for them. So that they sound like they got some good arms down there.
Yeah, they do. And there's some decent guys that have kind of rotated from AAA back to the minors, like Mike Baumann. Has had up and down results, but he's a high velocity guy with a good changeup who could turn into like a late relieving. Like that's my main concern. Would be like the long relievers, and like Austin Voth would be probably a candidate to be a long reliever as well. He bounced back in between the bullpen and the rotation for us last year, and was actually really good as a starter. He started throwing a slider in August that completely changed his season, but I think he'll be in the bullpen. So I think
the rotation seems to be a big question mark.
It does, and that's again, Kramer is a potential regression candidate, but I'm very high on Bradish. I think his stuff is very good. I think he can be like a number 3. He has mid to high 90s fastball, a really good changeup. His slider was a standout last year. He went 8 2/3 against Houston.
Dirty.
Yeah, he made even like Yordan Alvarez got him the strikeout. Who he does not strike out a lot. Urban, I think so. He pitched in Oakland last year. He did, which is a similar ballpark just in terms of pitcher friendly as Camden Yards now is. I think, but his road splits were rough, so I think there's going to be some hiccups on the road. Gibson, I think, is another guy. Camden Yards lends itself to him. I think he'll be an upgrade over Jordan Lyles last year. I don't know. He's not going to be an ace, obviously, but Grayson Rodriguez, I think, could, if he becomes as good as advertised and can stay healthy, that would kind of change the dynamic of the rotation, because like there's really not a bona fide top of the rotation guy right now, and he's their real main and only hope at this point.
Right.
So our last topic of the day will be the Red Sox overall injury updates. So Anthony, you want to crack out some of the first couple?
Yeah, no, I was kind of looking around. I was kind of asking around recently just what's going on with Mondesi. Haven't seen or heard much from him. So Chris Cotillo had a pretty nice piece. Chris Cotillo had a pretty nice piece on that. Just talking about how he's kind of working out behind the scenes, and this guy's like a real gym rat. He's absolutely ripped. He's a real athlete, and he has incredible speed, incredible athleticism. He's got a lot of raw power. I think when you look at a pickup like this, it's one of the sneakiest pickups of the offseason for the Red Sox. I think they're going to be counting on this guy heavily. We know what their depth situation looks like right now. We talked about it earlier. They're going to be looking to get him back by May, and he's going to have a big impact. When you look at the rule changes, whether you're looking at range up the middle for defense or whether you're looking at speed on the base paths, I think this kid's going to have a big impact. I'm excited to hear about that. Obviously, we got great news about Justin Turner, and we're starting to get some great news about the pitchers. So I think the health of this team is starting to look a lot better, and it's very encouraging.
Yeah, if you look at the AL, I don't think a lot of people want us to be healthy, because if we got everybody healthy, we're going to be dangerous. Justin Turner, if he's there opening day against Baltimore, man, that's a big help for us, because we were talking last episode, like we don't have any clue who we're going to put in the 3 spot behind Devers. if Justin Turner isn't there. We talked about the pitching staff a little bit earlier. We've got some depth there that can hold us over, till Whitlock, until, Bayo comes back. Paxton's going to be up in the air. But when he was out there this spring, pitching, he had control, and he looked pretty well, So maybe he could be a little extra help if he comes back in, beginning to mid-May for us. And it's just Connor Wong, if he's able to sit there and come back, he could be a very valuable piece if Alfaro isn't panning out. So we have backup plans to backup plans that are looking really nice, where we could be very, very dangerous this year. What about a DC?
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on the rotation as far as the injuries. Whitlock, like I said, I think he'll miss 1 or 2 starts. Ubello just pitched live a bullpen. He has a game coming up hopefully next week. I think Paxton he threw this past Wednesday. So I guess his next step would be to, pitch off a mound next week. But I think the biggest thing for me is just a Turner update and just seeing how fast he's progressing through that scary injury. And not to beat a dead horse, but like you guys both said, that's a rally cry, man. Like that's a dude that just got hit in the face. And if he's coming back in and putting that work, and he's just showing that, he's willing to, do that and get back for the team, I think that's gonna just multiply, success throughout his teammates. We're in a good spot. I don't think the injuries look as gloom as they did a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, I'd like to have Trevor Story, injured with, not healthy with us. But things are looking good. I'm really excited for Mondesi. I think one thing that our team lacks is stolen bases, and I think he could make a lot of things happen on the base pass, and that could score us runs. But overall, man, I'm just really excited that the injuries aren't as bad as I thought they were initially, and they're all coming together. We just got to get through the first couple of weeks, stay healthy. I think we can make a run, man. I really do. I don't mean to be too optimistic. I have around about 92 wins this year. But you sneak in as a wild card, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, if you look, if everything's going right for us, I wouldn't want to be Heim Bloom and AC if at All-Star break, to August. If Story comes back in August, Mondesi is coming back, Paxton will be back. I wouldn't want to be the person that sit if all these guys in place are playing up to their potential. Okay, who's going down? Say Valdez gets called up and he's up there. Chang, if he's sitting there playing up to his potential, Alfaro, he's playing. Who's gets to stay up in the majors when you got all these guys coming back? That's going to be a big question that I wouldn't want to make the call.
I'll tell you what, though, that's a good problem to have, though. That's a good problem to have.
It is. And sometimes that stuff works itself out because you're always going to have other injuries pop up. So the thing is, too, you got to realize Kike Hernandez, if we do get healthy with Mondesi and Story, Kike can slide back into more of a center field type role. So that can be key for us because I think it's a big question with Adam Duvall right now. So I think that stuff, honestly, is going to work itself out. And it's like DC said, it's a good problem to have. You give me a healthy team by August, and I got too many guys and I got to figure out where to put guys. That's a heck of a problem to have. Yeah,
Duvall is a big question for me out there in that triangle because besides JBJ in recent years, like there ain't too many people that can handle that triangle out there. And I don't know if Duvall is going to be able to, handle that out there because that's a lot of ground to cover where he's not used to it, and he's just coming off being injured last year.
Yeah, not to mention, what if he's hitting, 200? You know what I mean? What if he's struggling at the plate, especially against right-handed pitching? So he's one of the biggest concerns actually I have on the whole team right now, Adam Duvall. Because of what role he's in, really. It's not so much Adam Duvall as much as it's the role, what we're asking out of Adam Duvall. We're asking this guy to be our everyday center fielder. We're asking this guy to be a middle-of-the-order bat. I don't know if he can handle that.
Yeah. So, Josh, DC was talking a little bit about what his prediction for the Red Sox was this season. So, Josh, what is your prediction for the record of the Baltimore Orioles this coming season?
So I would say somewhere in like the 86 to 88 win range seems about right. The team is better. They didn't do nearly as much in the offseason as I would have hoped, but like the bench is so much better. Like having James McCann as a backup catcher over Chirinos is such a huge upgrade. Then you have actually you guys would be familiar. Franchi Cordero might break the team as a first baseman. He's been raking in spring training.
Of course.
But yeah, but
he's a spring training Hall of Famer.
He'd even just, if
he's one of the worst baseball players I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know. He's got to be better than Tyler Nevin. Tyler Nevin was bad.
No.
But even so, just the bench should be better. And then having Ramon Arias he won a Gold Glove at third base last year. He's going to be a bench guy now because they signed Adam Frazier, which was weird.
Can you actually quickly run through the lineup? Just so we got Adley Rutschman, Mountcastle.
Yeah.
Could you just go through the whole order? Go through the whole diamond of who's playing where?
Sure. So Rutschman will be at catcher. Mountcastle will be at first. Adam Frazier will probably be the second baseman. He can also play corner outfield. Mateo at short. Henderson at third. Mullins in center. Santander in right, but I think he'll DH a lot. And then left will be, I think, some mix of Kyle Stowers, Ryan McKenna, also Colton Cowser, who's one of our top prospects.
They still have Hayes.
Yeah, Austin Hayes. Huston Kierstad's another offensive or outfield prospect that could come up soon. So I think that'll shake. We have enough depth that I'm confident they'll find somebody to do the job out there. And then Ryan McKenna will probably be a bench outfielder. And that's pretty much the bulk of the guys who I think will get regular playing time.
Right.
So it's a better situation than we were in last year, but you could also argue that we overperformed last year. So I don't think they're going to be in play for the division, but a wild card spot is definitely within reach.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty optimistic. I mean, 86 to 88, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, they were 83 last year.
It's pretty optimistic. I mean, it's a tough division, obviously, but we play less games in the division. I think it's fair. I think it's fair, but I think it's going to be a great test for Chris Sale opening day, to be honest with you, because they got some, these guys like Mountcastle and Hayes and some of these guys, they don't have to worry about Baltimore. Well, right, but these right-handed hitters aren't going to have to worry about that Grand Canyon they're dealing with out in left. They're going to be at Fenway Park, so Chris Sale better have his A game because some of these guys can hit in Baltimore.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a very good point.
It's going to be a real good test.
Santander, he actually did well as a switch hitter last year, but it's hard to, like you said, just with how deep left field is, it's hard to project how.
I don't know why. I'm a big fan of him. I don't know why. I've just always been a fan of him.
Yeah, he was another Rule 5 pick. The Orioles have made the Rule 5 pick kind of their thing over the last decade, which has annoyed me.
My fantasy baseball side is coming out of me. Obviously, as a Red Sox fan, I'm not a fan of him.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, he had a monster year last year, right? He was like an all-star.
Yeah, 33 home runs. We led the team in home runs.
It's going to be hard to It's going to be hard to expect him to duplicate that. It really is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He's a guy that you'd see take a step back.
Agreed. I think, but with other like Henderson, a full season of Henderson,
right. And so some guys go forward, some guys go back, and it's probably about the same. Probably mid-80s, probably.
And if the baseball spirits are any sort of kind, we'll get something out of Adam Frazier. I just don't understand why they did that. Because they also have a lot of middle infield prospects that are really close to coming up. So I don't know, but
he is a left-handed bat, so it is nice to have a left-handed option who can play middle infield.
And I like it. Like he can play corner outfield as well, and he's a good he's a capable defender at both positions. So that versatility is nice. It's just I just hope he doesn't take opportunities away from because we have Jordan Westberg, Connor Norby, who can play second, that are all in the upper levels of the minor league system. So, but it's only a 1-year deal. So even if it doesn't work out, he can just get bait.
Yep. Or you can even trade him mid-season.
Exactly.
So, well, Josh, I want to thank you for stopping by today. It was great having you. A lot of great insight for the Baltimore Orioles this season. I can't wait to get you back on again when we are in season. So, I want to tell everybody where they can contact you, where they can reach out at you.
Absolutely. So I'm on Twitter at JJLINNJJ. You can follow me on there. I'm just generally posting random baseball, motorsports, music nonsense. But that's where you can find my Orioles takes as well. Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. I had a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, man, just to touch on that, Josh has been one of I've known him since I was 5 years old. He's one of my best friends. I appreciate you guys allowing me to have him on. Obviously, as I said, he has a pretty wide knowledge of baseball as far as sports as well. He's one of the smartest guys I know. So I look forward to having you on, not even just when the Red Sox are playing the Orioles. I want to have you on a good amount on the show and just pass on your knowledge, man. So I appreciate it a lot, man.
Oh, yeah, whatever y'all need.
Yeah, no, it was great to talk. I feel you really know your Orioles for sure, and I'm actually kind of pumped up even more now for opening day.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. This is as optimistic as I've been since probably 2014. So it's been a long time coming, and I would say we deserve it. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
a great
know
baseball team.
Yeah,
Anthony and Josh and I, we're going to do a live show the first day, but I think we should do a live show maybe the second, like during the weekend, and have you on during and watch the whole game if you guys are down for that.
Cool.
Yeah. So, we're gonna bring in the closing thoughts. So we're gonna go around the horn. DC, closing thoughts for this episode.
I mean, I'm just going to reiterate on how good Chris Sale looked today. One hit short of being perfect. He had the command. He had the velocity. Like I said earlier in the show, I think he looks as best as he did since he got the Tommy John. And as you guys all know, and I've been high on him since the beginning, since we started this podcast, not a month ago. I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to ball out. I'm just excited to see what he does. I'm excited to see Chris Sale having fun. Owning up to the fact that he hasn't pitched much with his extension. And to me, that's huge. You play in a big market such as, Boston. I think coming out and owning that and saying, hey, like they pay me to play, to do a job and I haven't done it. And to me, that's huge. I'm big, even in my everyday life, I'm big on accountability. And I think the accountability is huge. And it just shows how much that he does care. And honestly, I hope Chris Sale finishes his career here, and I hope that we win another World Series with him. And I'm just stoked for this season, man. That's all. I mean, I'm just filled with excitement, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I sit there and I love how Chris Sale. I'm gonna sit there and say that this season, to me, like every season has like AC likes to have damage done. I would love for this season to be accountability. Chris Sale's taking accountability. Kike's taking accountability. Justin Turner's taking accountability. Verdugo's taking accountability. Like this team is taking accountability and wants to do right and do the right for the city of Boston. So, Anthony, closing thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just echo what DC said. I mean, I dropped my first article on Substack yesterday. I've been working on it. Basically, the 5 most important players for the Red Sox coming into the season, and of course, number 1 was Chris Sale. Of course, he is the most important player on our team. Everything basically really hinges on him staying healthy. If this guy can stay healthy all year and be our ace, I'm telling you right now, that's almost I don't want to say a guaranteed playoff. But I'm telling you right now, if he's healthy all year, I mean, I would be shocked if we don't make the playoffs. So, I mean, it's all about Chris Sale. I thought he looked phenomenal. Like DC said, since 2018, it was the best he's looked in 5 years, maybe longer. So, and I know it's spring training, but I think for Chris Sale, I think it's something that we need to be happy about his health and where it's going. And we need him more than ever. So, check out my Substack on that, and definitely,
Yeah, please check out that Substack, man. He's got great info on that. Check it out.
Hey, head on over to our Twitter page at the Pesky Podcast. Click on our link tree. We just added Anthony on the Cape Substack account, so it's easy access. You know, if you follow the podcast, click on our link tree and just check it out. Like, this guy knows his baseball. He is, so far this week, DC, you don't even get a vote, but I know I have the vote. Anthony, you are the MVP so far of the Pesky Podcast. Since
thanks. I appreciate it. Man.
You've had some great insight, some great knowledge, man. Like I said on the last show, we're excited to have you aboard, man. We really are.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, guys.
We're lucky to have you too, man.
Hey,
it's great to find people that love baseball. Even we all love the Red Sox, but it's great to find people that love baseball. And I think
this is going to be a great podcast. This is going to be a great podcast. It really is. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it, but I think it's going to grow a lot, and I think people are going to really like it. I think we're going to do some fun stuff on here too. So.
Oh, but speaking of growing, since you became part of our podcast, our numbers have grown exponential. We've got viewers and listeners in Singapore, Germany, Canada, and Belgium now. So shout out to those countries. Shout out to the listeners from there.
Love Germany. Love all those countries. Those are great countries.
Put us on our back, Belgium.
Yeah, I know a lot of people from Canada, Germany. Shout out to all you guys out there. All of Red Sox Nation. It's global. You know what I mean? There's a lot of military people around the globe as well that can be tuned in. So thank you for your service to everybody who protects this country and protects our rights. So shout out to all those people and all their families.
And last but not least, if you guys need any editing done, audio, video, if you need a logo made, head on over to Twitter at Chase Fulmer. That's ChaseFulmer. Tell him the Pesky Podcast sent you. He will help you out. He will hook you up, and you will have the best shit going today. So that's at Chase Fulmer. So, guys, episode 6 is in the books. I can't wait to sit there and put this one out there. But as for now, I am the Ritt. He is DC. Anthony on the Cape. And our man from B-Town, Josh Linn. See you guys next time on the Pesky Podcast.
Thanks, everybody.